Hey guys, you know it's Joe Jaguar, your favorite telescope guy on the internet. And what am I showing you guys today? I'm actually pretty ticked off today. Yeah, I'm pretty pissed off. So, this is a Gsyker, I guess that's how you spell this, Gsyker 90mm f6.7. So it's not even that short, and I wasn't even going to do a video on this. I'll explain in a second. Okay, so last night I was collimating this guy on Jupiter, and then I was touching it up a little. And we all know, you know, this is a 4.5-inch reflecting telescope, and we all know that this is a Burge-Jones design, isn't, you know, 100% the best. I mean, it'll still show you stuff, you're still going to see stuff. However, just the images are going to be softer than a traditional telescope, but they are a bit cheaper than regular reflecting telescopes, and they are more shorter for portability. Some people like that. So as long as you know out there that the Burge-Jones design, there's lots of different ones out there. They're usually a little cheaper, and because of that Barlow and the mirror being that the way it's made like that, it's not going to be crystal clear images, but you still see some. So, you know, the images were okay. I mean, I could see Jupiter, 4 moons, and if you look closely, a couple bands, and Saturn you can see a little bit of flaring at one end, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to put this one back. Anyway, so, you know, the images were okay, but not great. So I just thought, hey, I want to take out the 90mm refractor. It's a clear aperture, right? And it's f6.7. So it's not too slow. A lot of people, you know, have used like the 80mm f5 refractors, 102mm f5 to 120 f5. The wide field short tube refractors, I've talked about them on my channel a couple times. They're very popular. I think I made at least 3 videos on that. They're very good for daytime and nighttime viewing, but of course, because they're very short, they're going to have lots of color fringing. It's going to be soft, what we call it in the hobby. It's not going to be perfect. If you want a dedicated planetary scope, you should be looking for a long refractor or something like that, not a short tube. But, you know, if you have a short tube, why not use it? You know, it's not horrible, but it's just not going to be the best. So I brought this guy out, a 90mm. In fact, I'm going to go get it back again. So I brought this guy out and figured, okay, 90mm clear aperture compared to 4.5-inch. I know that one's going to collect more light, but I just wanted to just test it. I mean, that's why we have like a grab and go telescope, just because it was partly clear, partly cloudy. I saw Jupiter, so I thought, okay, I'm just going to bring this guy out and just, you know, how much nicer or cleaner is it going to be? I wasn't even thinking of doing a video at all on comparing these two or this one. I just figure, you know, a 90mm refractor is not like, you're almost in the intermediate range. I've always said, you know, if you can go up to an 80mm minimum on a refractor, that's great. So a 90mm, and this is longer than normal. It's not an f5, it's not an f6, it's a f6.7. So you're almost approaching f7. You know, focuser, you know, it's okay. But anyway, the image was horrible. Basically, that's what pissed me off. It's like, first I was thinking, is the night sky, is the scene that bad yesterday? And then it's like, you know, I put in a 20mm here, you know, because it's semi-short or semi-wide. You don't need, you know, I don't have to go too low. I go like medium and high, then a 10mm. Now, I wasn't going extreme powers, but I just wanted to see, could I see it clearer than like a Burge-Jones design? And it was actually worse. It was so bad. I was thinking, you know, and in my past, I have looked at, was it 2019 at Christmas time? I looked at the Gsyker 70mm f5 refractor, and that was a piece of junk, right? And I think in 2020, I looked at that a 90mm Maksutov. And I think it was an Omega or something like that. Again, even that one, you could see the planets looked okay, but it wasn't as good as like the 80 millimeter EDs, or it wasn't as good as an ETX 90. Basically, it was just a little bit cheaper version, 90 millimeter Maksutov. This, on the other hand, is one of the worst images I've seen. I don't know what was going on. I was so confused again. It's almost like that Maksutov. As soon as I looked into the image, I thought like something doesn't seem right. Is it the sky condition? So here's what I did. I went to go get this guy. This is a Celestron 4-inch f5 refractor. And this is f5. I know it's a little bit bigger. It's 102 millimeter and this is 90 millimeter. So I know it would be a little brighter, but I wasn't gonna be looking at brighter. I wanted to see what's going on. Why is the image so crappy on this guy? You know, for a 90 millimeter, you know, we're not talking about a 50 millimeter, 60 or 70 millimeter scope that, you know, wasn't figured right. So I took this guy out, and lo and behold, images were just, yes, there was color fringing on this for sure. A 4-inch f5 is going to have lots of color, okay? False color, that is. But at least I could see, you know, Saturn separated the planet from the rings, and Jupiter, I can see its two main bands. I couldn't see that on here. In fact, how Saturn looked was just elongated, kind of like a circle with two elongated. On there, I could actually see the separation from the planets. Let me go over here. The planet from the ring. Does that even make sense? I'm not even talking about the Cassini division on the ring. I'm talking about, it just looked like a oval thing. And it's like, what the hell is going on? You know, I don't know. So, you know what I'm disappointed of? It's like these companies lately, again, like the Barsica and this, and so many companies are coming out lately or in the last several years, and they're stamping their name. I don't even know where the hell they get the goddamn lenses from or whatever. It's like, this is not even a, what we call a trash telescope like blues or whatever. This is actually 90 millimeters considered like intermediate. It shouldn't be that bad. But these companies, they want us, they're coming up with these cheap entry level or medium entry level scopes, and they want us to try it, but they just make this garbage. Like, it's like, how are we supposed to get into the hobby if that's the kind of images we're gonna look at? It's ridiculous. It pissed me off yesterday. It's like, okay, I understand a company coming out and they're getting the lens and everything from the same factory. They're stamping their name on it, putting on the market, and maybe a little bit cheaper, so that way people can buy their product and they can get a little bit of following. And then people like us is like, okay, you can get the same scope, $40, $50 cheaper with that name brand compared to the 3 or 4 big name brands. That's okay if it's the same scope and same quality. But I don't know what the hell's going on with this. It was like worse than a Burge Jones design. Like, how does that happen? Figuring this lens and throwing it out, not even polishing it. Like, what are they doing? The lens can't even be coming from the same factory, I guess, because the image is totally different. You know, a scope like this is not a planetary scope. You know, this is a wide field refractor. It's made for wide field viewing and extended large objects and stuff. However, if you have it and you like looking at daytime stuff, and this could be a quick grab and go scope as well, right? But it's an f5. The color correction should be way worse than in this guy, which is f6.7, right? But I couldn't even see the stripes on Jupiter. I couldn't even see Saturn alone. So I don't know what the hell's going on. I did take it apart, and I did look inside. And guess what? In here now, I mean, the lens looks okay. One baffle, and it was closer to the very bottom, almost beside the focuser. One baffle? Are you kidding me? I mean, a scope like this in an entry-level price range should have minimum 2. I would say maybe sometimes even 3 baffles in there. But one baffle and all the way was practically right about here. Maybe that's the problem. It's just I don't know. Like they're skimping out. So I mean, what's the point of bringing out a telescope that's cheaper, but it's way less inferior? Not just a little bit. I feel like just throwing it in the garbage. How am I supposed to show my viewers? How am I supposed to tell my viewers this is a good buy? You know what I mean? And recommend it. Anyway, I took the lens out. I don't know if it was pinched or whatever, but I took it out. It is a plastic lens. There is no cell, so as soon as I unthreaded it finally, it took a while. The two lenses popped out. It does have spacers. I mean, it looks like it's just like aluminum foil. I was thinking, maybe I put it back together, and my thinking was I'm just not going to have it as tight. So I screwed it back on the tube a little, like just finger tight, and as well as this, because it does unthread. I just did it hand tight. It was really tight before, so maybe it was pinching it. So I was just going to leave it like that, test it again, see what happens. And then I was thinking next thing is, maybe I would put little felt in between the two lenses, but I really don't know what the design is and what this, what the manufacturer, the designer was designing that spacing to be. 1 millimeter, 2-3 millimeter, wide separations, thin separation. I have no idea. So then I thought, there's no point in me going to that extent. Why? Because I'm supposed to test a telescope as is to the general masses or population. For me to take all this apart, loosen this, take the lens cell and respace it, I mean, that's not something a beginner should do. This should come ready an for me to observe and be pretty decent. If not, I don't think you should just make this guy. I mean, take up a new hobby. I mean, if an owner or a manager from Gsyker sees this video, get in contact with me. If you want to send me a new scope with no problems, I'll be happy to test it again and see. Maybe I got a one off that's just horrible. But I'm telling you, it wasn't a little horrible. This thing is pretty bad. Now, maybe by me untightening it or whatever, maybe it'd be better. Maybe if I separate the lens a little bit more, I don't know, I'm guessing, but hopefully that might be better. However, a new person shouldn't be doing that. Should be coming out of the box, ready to use, pretty decent views, comparing to like a guy like this. A little less bright than a 4-inch, 3.5, 4-inch, little less bright, little bit better on the contrast and the color. And maybe then people will buy your product if it's a little bit cheaper than what the bigger name brands sell. If not, what's the point? Anyway, guys, sorry to go off on you, but it's just, I'm just getting ticked off of these cheap imitation manufacturers out there. Just, I don't know where they're getting these specs from or where they're getting the glass from, or maybe how it's being made is being rushed to make the cost so cheap. Maybe, I don't know. But it's like, I thought a 90 millimeter refractor, which I've used before, some decent views on, the best things out there, Jupiter and Saturn, and it's can't even do that. I think it's time to fold up. Anyway, I'll give you one opportunity. If you're out there, anybody attached to this company, if you want to send me a proper one, same size, do it. Otherwise, I'm sorry. I can't give your product a good name, a thumbs up or anything, if I'm not happy with it. Sorry if I sound pissed off. I was pissed off, and it's time you manufacturer out there, make a decent quality things for us to view. Joe Jaguar. Cheers. Like, comment, subscribe. Hey guys, I got an expert with me today. Okay, so I have a good feedback, or the conclusion of this Gsyker is, okay, so as you guys know, my first review, I didn't think it did very well. It was very bad. Well, what did you think when I showed you Jupiter?
Well, it was looking like a blast, like it changed the colors, like different colors, and also it was like Like it was like a flash, like I don't know, like how do
It
you
was like
say
a big flare.
Exactly, like a flare.
Red and lots of false color.
Yes.
So then I told her, okay, go inside. So I was like, I told her, yeah, how can I promote or sell something like this when it's that shit of a quality? Because just before I showed her, and there's two friends staying with us for a little bit,
Yeah.
of an 80 millimeter ED. And it's also a no-name brand, and that did 10 times better.
Very well.
This is a 90 millimeter, although it's not ED, it's bigger, and it's f6.7. So I know the ED should be better. This one should be brighter, but it shouldn't be that crappy quality.
No.
So again, I took the lens out, I put the spacers back in a different way, repositioned the lens, and then called you back out, and then we looked at Saturn.
I could see Saturn, but it's still with the colors. It has like the colors like a red and blue and
False colors,
yeah, false colors.
But you can see the ring. So
Yeah.
on the first part of the video, I showed you guys, I couldn't even see the ring system. All I see is a blob round thing. So I got it to work much better. Now it's a short tube refractor. I still think there's two problems with this. Like I said, there's only one baffle inside the telescope and should be minimum two. I'm not going to go through the trouble of opening it up, putting it in babble, coloring it, like painting it black, putting it in, and spacing it. Forget it. It's not worth that kind of headache. However, I did fix, I think, the lens. The second thing I think might be, it's just not a high quality lens comparing to a Cinta GSO or other, like the bigger 4 or 5 name brand companies. The lens is a lower quality lens. So it will be okay. So if you want to use something like that, lower power, daytime and nighttime, it's okay. But I have seen in 90 millimeter refractors that are much better quality.
Yes.
So I would say again to this company,
For beginners, very beginners.
yeah, it's gonna show you something, but you're gonna grow out of it within a year. You're gonna want better quality after. So thumbs down to the company for making something that it's a good size, right? But it's not good quality. And I shouldn't have to take that lens apart, reposition it, put new spacers. A new person ain't gonna know what they're gonna do. They're gonna throw it in the garbage, first of all. But after all this, again, I do think one more spacer would help that flare a little bit down.
Yes.
Because what if you like a spacer is supposed to not scatter the light. You know what I mean? So if I had another spacer, that flare would be a little bit better. But also if the lens was a little bit better quality, it would have been a decent scope. Yeah. So I could say it's so-so, it's not bad, it's not the worst, but you get what you pay for. However, they should make something fresh out of the box that somebody should be decent happy, especially for a 90 millimeter. It's not a starting telescope. It's almost intermediate. Do you
And
agree?
it looks and it's like beginner telescope.
See, you're getting it even from me. Don't get it from me. You're getting it from a pro I've been teaching her as my apprentice for the last year and a half.
But I haven't seen the difference between the telescopes. And then this is
We actually did that the same night. The 80 mil ED was just 30 minutes prior.
Yes.
Right? And I wanted to show her, I was like, oh, you know what? I want to show you with a 90 millimeter, even though it's not ED, what the difference.
Yeah.
And on Jupiter, it was bad.
Yes.
Until I kind of touched up the lens. Anyway, Joe Jaguar, like, comment.
And Angeles, don't forget to like, subscribe.
See you next time.
Thank you.